Member for Vancouver Kingsway. Vancouver Kingsway.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. And one is, of course, tempted with when the government engages in this level of political stunt to respond with derision. But I think that it might be better today to have a serious discussion and for the government to have a serious reflection on what it's actually doing here. I want to, if the member for North Vancouver, the minister, will bear with me, speak briefly about her family and mine. I think one of my proudest moments as an MLA in this legislature was when the minister stood up and moved a motion that we unanimously supported, talking about what happened, the internment of Japanese Canadians in World War II. And she spoke eloquently, and everybody in this House stood and applauded what she did. It brought us together as a House. I followed her and spoke in support of what she was doing and of her motion. And everybody in this House stood up for me, and it was a moment of great pride for me, because I have thought and reflected on the issues involved all my life, from the time I was a student to the day I spoke in that legislature. And afterwards, we went to the minister's office, and she held a reception, and many of us came and celebrated with members of her family. And it was a great moment for this legislature. It truly was. I want to speak about my family. Because my dad was a small business person for most of his life. He came to British Columbia to open a small business in 1969. And he and my mom ran that business until 2012. He passed away in 2013. And he supported and raised my sister Wendy and myself and my brother Dylan from the proceeds of that small business. He cared about it. And at his funeral, I must say, Honourable Speaker, people who, as a small business person, he had served in the community, came in large numbers. They only knew him because he was their insurance agent. But they admired him and they loved him. And he understood that small business played an important role in the community, and that we succeeded as a society because we had the rule of law, that people were protected, including him, at times by regulation and by law. And he understood at times, because he ran a small business, the absurdity that that sometimes brought. And he would point it out, and he would fight for change, and he would work to make things better in his industry, and he did. And he was respected for it, most of all by those that loved him, but everyone in the community. And so I reflect today about what my father would say about this action. 5 times in the history of the British Columbia legislature, 5 times, we have proclaimed legislatively days. The cabinet proclaims days all the time. In fact, and here's a list in 2015 of the days, months, weeks, and years that have been proclaimed. 2015, the Year of Sport in British Columbia. Craft Year 2015. In January, Alzheimer's Awareness Month and Red Tape Awareness Month. So we're duplicating here. Mineral Exploration Week, Family Literacy Day, Data Privacy Day, Black History Month, Heart Month in February, Toastmasters Month, the 2015 Canada Winter Games Week, Heritage Week, Chamber of Commerce Week, Resident Awareness Week, International Mother Language Day, Bullying Awareness Day, Community Social Services Awareness Day, Youth Science Month, Cowboy Heritage Week, Social Work Week, Stop the Sexual Exploitation of Children and Youth Awareness Week. Perhaps requires a legislative amendment. Dietitians Day, Journée de la Francophonie, World Down Syndrome Day, Community-Based Trainers Week, Lynch Syndromes Awareness Week, BC Pharmacy Day, Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness, Autism Awareness Day, Canadian Cancer Society Daffodil Month, Parkinson's Awareness Month, World Autism Awareness Day, Make a Will Day, Canadian Oncology Nursing Day, Child Abuse Prevention Day, Emergency Services Dispatchers and 911 Awareness Week, Prevention of Violence Against Women Week, Law Week, Child Sexual Abuse Prevention Week, AED Awareness Day, National Meetings Industry Day, Administrative Professionals Week, BC Arts and Culture Week, Victims of Crime Awareness Week, Medical Officers Assistance Week, Administrative Professionals Day, BC Book Day, Animal Abuse Prevention Day, Red Hat Society Day, Creative Industries Week, BC Guide Dog and Service Dog Day, Asian Heritage Month, Child Care Month, Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, MS Awareness Month, Social Enterprise Month, Mining Week, North American Occupational Safety and Health Week, Family Caregiver Week, Mental Health Week, TB Vets Week, British Columbia Midwives Day, British Columbia Fallen Paramedics Day, Pediatric Stroke Awareness Day, Child and Youth Mental Health Day, Healthcare Auxiliary Day, Tzu Chi Day, Nursing Week, Licensed Practical Nurses Day, Bereavement Day, Cycling for Diversity Week, Local Government Awareness Week, National Public Works Week, Canadian Camping Week, Aboriginal Social Enterprise Day, Child Care Provider Appreciation Day, SIDS Awareness Day, BC Jade Day, Beef Day, BC ALS Awareness Month, BC Seafood Month, Invasive Species Action Month, Italian Heritage Month, Smoke-Free Multi-Unit Housing Month, Stroke Month, Intergenerational Day, BC Child and Youth and Care Week, Clean Air Day, Nurse Practitioners Week, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, Ride to Survive Day, St. John's Ambulance Week, Legion Week, Automotive Heritage Month, Latin American Week, Screen in BC Day, Disability Employment Month, Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Prevention and Support Month, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, Kids Sport BC Week, Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Prevention and Support Day, World Suicide Prevention Day, World Sepsis Day, Sales and Marketing Education Awareness Week, Square and Round Dance Awareness Week, Balance Awareness Week, Sales and Marketing Education Awareness Day, Vancouver Community College Day, BC Coaches Week, Organic Week, Recovery Day, BC Care Aware Day, BC Culture Days, BC Law Enforcement Memorial Day, ADHD Awareness Month, Community Living Month, Foster Family Month, Library Month, Occupational Therapy Month, Registered Disability Savings Plan Awareness Month, Small Business Month, Breastfeeding Month, National Family Week, Every Girl Matters Day, Co-op Week, Healthcare Security and Safety Week, Homelessness Action Week, and Honorable Speaker, there's Manufacturing Week. Oh, we're keeping going. I know it's hilarious. National Natural Gas Week, Veterinary Technologist Week, Change Day BC, Credit Union Day, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day, Conflict Resolution Week, Healthcare Assistant Day, National Teen Driving Safety Week, Registered Massage Therapist Awareness Week, School Library Day, National UNICEF Day, Apprenticeship Recognition Week, Down Syndrome Awareness Week, World Pancreatic Cancer Day, Child and Youth Day. That's, so far this year, proclaimed by the Cabinet. And that is a good thing, I would argue, Honorable Speaker. All of those are very important circumstances, red tape reduction amongst them. The government has decided, of all those things, that there's a different level for red tape reduction. In fact, Honorable Speaker, as I said to this House, 5 times in the history of British Columbia, 5 times, we've passed legislation creating days by legislation. By definition, these are special circumstances reflecting special things. And they are as follows. British Columbia Day Act, Honorable Speaker, 1996, Chapter 34. I think we all understand that, Honorable Speaker. Douglas Day, which recognized a great figure in British Columbia's history, as other countries do. Terry Fox Day, which we as legislators passed last year together with the Fox family. Family Day, which was a proposal put forward by the current government to create a new holiday in February that received much public consultation and discussion. And finally, one introduced and passed unanimously under the NDP government, Holocaust Memorial Day Act. So 5 times in our history, 5 times, we've decided to give special recognition to things important to British Columbia, important to its history. And I commend the minister to read the debate from those days, because what they reflected on those days were community support for important recognitions that needed to be recognized by legislative action and turned into days in the legislature. I ask her to consider the speeches made by all members of the legislature from all sides of the House on Holocaust Memorial Day. All sides of the House, including my colleague from Port Coquitlam who knew the Fox family and knows the Fox family so well, on Terry Fox Memorial Day. These were events that brought us together. These weren't cheap political stunts. These days are devalued when the government engages in what they are doing now. Devaluing the work that legislators have done for a generation, Honourable Speaker, by calling us back at a time of significant issues for everyone, including small businesses in British Columbia, Honourable Speaker, and engaging in day after day of trivial activity, Honourable Speaker. This is wrong. Read those legislations and then read the speeches made on the government side of the House, lauding their own record, and then saying, we'll proclaim a day, Honourable Speaker. Lauding their own record, attacking the opposition of the day. These events, these recognitions, they're supposed to be beyond that, above that, Honourable Speaker. They're supposed to bring people together. Declaring a day by the BC legislature is not a wedge issue for the Premier to use at her discretion, Honourable Speaker. She defies, Honourable Speaker. We had 2 Premier sons. Honourable Speaker, we had the grandson of W.A.C. Bennett, the son of Bill Bennett here yesterday. His dad and his granddad didn't engage in such tactics, Honourable Speaker. They didn't do that. They're not on the legislative record doing that. Dave Barrett isn't, Mike Harcourt isn't, Glenn Clark isn't, even Gordon Campbell isn't, Honourable Speaker. This is a new type of behavior. It's inconsistent with the values I know the minister holds, which is to create, Honourable Speaker, to use this special mechanism. And I repeat what these days are, Honourable Speaker. BC Day, our collective history, where we celebrate together our collective history. I had an event, a wonderful event, at Trout Lake Community Centre this year, on that day. On Family Day, similarly at Renfrew Community Centre, we had a day where we came together and recognized that. I don't need to tell members who take part in the Terry Fox Run what that means to communities and what it means to all of us. So when we rise and after much discussion want to recognize these special events, Honourable Speaker, it seems to me they have to have value, that words have value, actions have value. They're not things to be used at discretion by the Liberal Party when they don't have a legislative agenda and they want to jam people, Honourable Speaker. They're not additional regulations. They are supposed to reflect our collective spirit and what we're about. How can members of the government side seriously say that this effort, this partisan performance by the government today, is in the same measure as BC Day, and Terry Fox Day, and Family Day, Honourable Speaker, and Douglas Day, and Holocaust Memorial Day? Or the speeches put forward by government ministers when they call this bill without discussion and they have a debate the next day, are in any way reflective of what happened on any of those days, or why those measures were brought forward. Our collective horror of the Holocaust in 2000 led people on both sides of the House to recognize that day here in British Columbia. Our absolute, and I think most of us in British Columbia who remember Terry Fox and remember that moment, were profoundly affected by it. That's what you have a day for. Not because you're out of a legislative agenda, not because you want to poke the opposition, not because you want to mobilize the base, Honourable Speaker, because we want to bring people together. I don't know how the member for West Vancouver can vote in this way and say that this is a good idea to bring this kind of thing forward. Honorable Speaker, when he knows that that's what this is. It is entirely appropriate for the government to proclaim a red tape reduction day. But what isn't appropriate, it seems to me, Honorable Speaker, as someone who strongly believes that government needs to regulate strongly where it is required and not when it's not required. Where unnecessary regulation, of course, should be eliminated, but understanding that there's often a debate about what that regulation is. I know, for example, Fong Li, a woman who worked on a farm in British Columbia and has lost her husband. He's been permanently brain injured in what's become known as the Langley Farm workers' accident or incident in September of 2008. It is a fact that as part of the deregulation agenda, the government, without talking to a single farm worker, eliminated protections for farm workers in 2002. That is not a question of red tape reduction. That was a political decision made by the government. They decided, in consultation with political supporters of the government, to engage in that practice, and it had consequences for all concerned. That's not red tape reduction. That is a legitimate discussion of what role government should play in that industry. And we have a strong disagreement on that question. Unnecessary regulations, and we will always, I would always, 100 times out of 100, I wouldn't be my father's son if I didn't do it, vote against unnecessary regulation. Because we've got a lot of work to do, and we shouldn't do what's unnecessary. I am against red tape, Honorable Speaker. I am against red tape if red tape means unnecessary regulation. I am against it. I am against it. And every single member of the opposition side is against it. So this kind of trick and thing that we get up and all will vote, and you're voting against it and I'm voting in favor of it, this is really beneath us as legislators. And we're not going to fall into that trap. We're against red tape. But, Honorable Speaker, it was the government that brought this bill forward. It was the government, just as governments brought forward before, Honorable Speaker, the Terry Fox Day Act, Honorable Speaker, which had been advocated for by my colleague for Port Coquitlam, but also members on all sides of the House, including other members from the Tri-Cities, Honorable Speaker. Douglas Day, reflecting our history. BC Day, reflecting our collective action, Honorable Speaker. Holocaust Remembrance Day, representing, I think, our soul as human beings. That's worthy of a day to be passed by this legislature. That's what we should have been doing. So, Honorable Speaker, I think that, frankly, I would suggest that the ministers of the Crown who have spoken to this, the Liberal members who have spoken to this, and given partisan speeches, should go back and read Hansard and read not what the NDP members said on those days, but what the Liberal members said on those days. Honorable Speaker, does it give the same value to our collective action on all of those occasions when we celebrated what we are as a community, not as Liberals, not as New Democrats, not as Green members, not as Conservatives, but as British Columbians, Honorable Speaker? On all of those occasions, that's what we did, together in this House, as one, unanimously supported, brought forward after lots of discussion and consultation and belief in the community to reflect the best of ourselves. That's why you do this kind of legislative day, and the minister knows it. And the other ministers know it, Honorable Speaker. And the members of the Liberal Party, they know it too. Those 5 days, and then this, reflecting the heart and soul of this government, which is to use any technique. Anything's worthwhile. Any action's worthwhile. We'll just poke at people. That's not what this is for, Honorable Speaker. So in conclusion, let me say this unequivocally so that everybody understands it. We in the opposition are not into this game, this use of the legislature for just silly games. I'm not talking about politics. The government, of course, we are politicians and what we do is politics. I'm talking about wasting time. I'm talking about adding laws to reduce red tape. I'm talking about demeaning previous unanimous actions of the legislature. I'm saying that we're not going to play this game. We're not going to worry about this vote, Honorable Speaker, which is just a trick. We're against red tape. We'll vote against red tape every day of the week, but what we won't do, Honorable Speaker, is vote against government regulations protecting workers, protecting the safety of citizens, Honorable Speaker, ensuring a democratic and just society. We won't do that, Honorable Speaker. And we won't, Honorable Speaker, and this I think people understand. People understand it. My dad understood it. He understood it when he ran his business all those decades. He understood it. The people of BC understand it. You don't, Honorable Speaker, get ahead in this world by taking the collective good and attempting to turn it to your own purposes in kind of a low and sneaky way. And that's what this is. And we're not going to fall for the trap. We're not into that. We can go forward with this. It doesn't really, Honorable Speaker, affect us. It's not our expression of our best wishes. It's certainly not the expression of the small business people I know, Honorable Speaker, to say that, yes, we absolutely should reflect that, and we already have. The government already did this year. They did it in January, Honorable Speaker. And now what are they doing again? They're saying, what they're saying is, our political interests are at the same level as BC Day and Terry Fox Day. And now we have Save the Liberal Base Day, Honorable Speaker. I think, Honorable Speaker, I think seriously the government needs to recognize that. 5 days passed by this legislature. All the other holidays passed by our national parliament and recognized by this legislature, reflecting our tradition, in some cases our religion, in some cases our collective will, in some cases our best selves. And surely Terry Fox is that. And then we have this government, which says, this is just a mechanism for us that we can use to poke people we don't like. Honorable Speaker, I think enough has been said about this. In fact, we have a Liberal government, and this, Honorable Speaker, sometimes your action, and this is a small thing, it's a bill, it's 1 week in March. I don't mind talking about red tape. I don't need to talk about it one day. We should talk about it every day, Honorable Speaker. We should talk about the best way to govern the province every day. That's what I try and do as an MLA, Honorable Speaker. 1 day in March, this doesn't signify a great deal in that sense. What it signifies is a government that has lost its soul and lost its understanding of what its purpose is, Honorable Speaker. The purpose of government in these important symbolic ways is to bring the community together. Terry Fox understood that. The people and the members of the legislature who voted on these previous days understood that. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, this Premier doesn't understand anything of the sort.